So right now we're going to be checking out some of the old content that Isaac and I dropped like maybe almost 2 years ago, and we just want to go back and kind of recapture this moment and see what we did and if there would anything that would change. Um,
Anything that has changed nowadays.
yeah, things have changed obviously, and what I would change and if there's anything differently that I would do. But one thing I wanted to give is some people advice is if you this video right here, I showed it so many times. I had this guy, his name is Rick. And Rick was a past client of mine when I was in the solar space. So one thing that a lot of guys can do or gals is go back to your clients that you sold solar to, and hopefully you're doing business ethically, so that way you could actually go back to your clients. But this guy right here, he didn't want to leave me any reviews or do anything for me, which I agree 100% until after he had his solar system up and installed. Like a lot of times you guys will go get a testimony or you'll get a review from your clients, and it's too soon. Like they haven't even got the panels installed, or they just got them installed and the system's not even turned on. Like, of course they feel good, but what about like 6 months later, a year later, after they gone through the summer and all these bills that you promised them that what they were gonna look like? That's what truly matters. So if you're not doing these with your clients, you're missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars, because this client helped me close so many deals by just using his story.
That's your.
Oh, I think it was connected to my headset. To earn his business, he was pretty skeptical. Hey, so I just wanted to introduce someone special. His name's Rick. He's a past client of mine. He actually gave me the opportunity to earn his business. He was pretty skeptical at first, but he ended up letting me move forward with the project. And I just want to introduce him really fast. And I just wanted you guys to hear it from himself, so that way you're not just hearing it from me. So without further ado, here's Rick.
My initial concern about going solar was, one, price, cost per month. I'm leery when people come to the door selling things, but I was in the process of looking at air conditioners, and the solar included. It was a bonus. The surprise is the change in my bill. We had a relatively hot summer and my bills were relatively low. Math says that they'll pay for themselves in about 7 years. That holds true. Just happy with the whole company, how professional they handle the job, and I was very much impressed. Number one, to work with Mike because of his professionalism. Everything he said was true. Everything that he said would happen, happened.
Do you hear that? Everything that I said was true. And I didn't hit a home run on this guy. Like, I had to make the deal look super sexy for him financially to earn his business. And I remember I had some guy that was like 50 years old, and his name was Tom. I don't remember what his last name is, but Tom, this guy did not sell solar ethically. And the reason why I know that is just, anyways. But long story short, he came to me and he was like, dude, like, there's something going on. I need to, figure this out. And he was sitting at this appointment with me, not during this interview when we did this interview, but he came to this guy's house. And the very first thing that this guy called me, or that he told me as soon as I walked in the door, hey, I just want to let you know I'm not buying anything or signing anything today. I just want to let you know that. And I was just like, yeah, that's no problem, man. I just didn't even let that affect me because I knew that I was going in there. And then I did some good fact finding and asking questions. Like when I was, on the doors, and I talked to him about, I was like, hey, what's like a high electric bill for you? And he told me, and I was like, oh, dang, like, okay, is your AC like super old, or are you guys just using a lot of power? And he's like, oh, no, my AC's old. I'm actually, before I do solar or look at anything, I think I need to get a new AC. And the way that I was able to set the appointment is I was like, hey, you know what? What if there was a way that I can get you solar and an AC and still save you money? Is that something you would at least consider, looking at? And that's how I set the appointment, because I asked good questions.
And they went above and beyond.
So anyways, but yeah, like I said, like doing these videos is really, really good because it's just going to help build your credibility, because obviously you're going to say you do a good job, but it's another thing if they could hear it from somebody else. So if you're not doing those things, would I do anything differently on this? Maybe I would have asked them a little bit more questions, and asked them like, hey, what was the process like? What was your experience like? But just more questions, get him a little bit more engaged, because he did most of the talking.
You want to sit down right there? Yeah. Let me get you your mic. Hold on. Yeah, so this one is just kind of going back and forth, like you two, starting in sales, like the progression through the years, and then just like the struggles you guys have been through, like how you guys worked through it together, type of stuff like that.
We've been through some struggles, dog.
You want the struggles? That's what you can get.
Got lots of those.
Hey, what happened to your videos that you did? The ones that he recorded for you.
Which ones?
The ones that he recorded for you when you're doing your videos, your content.
Like last year or that one?
Yeah,
There's a couple that you uploaded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I took those down from my page. I was fat. I didn't like those.
Go unarchive them though, so that or just pull them up on your phone real quick so that we can show them.
Yeah.
We just look at your videos and it's a part of your transformation now. This dude has a crazy transformation. He obviously showed you. He's like,
I was rebranding.
yeah.
I was like, I'm not a solar salesman no more. I'm delivered. I've been delivered from the doors. I've been delivered from the car lot and the doors.
Moving up. Progression is the only obsession.
Ooh, I like that.
One of my boys says that all the time. That's like his shtick.
Progression is the obsession.
Yeah.
It's fire. It's a bar.
Let's see. When do we shoot this? Was that in 2024 or 2020?
It's 2024.
Yeah, I think like summer or
Yeah, it was definitely summer. It was cooking.
But yeah, I remember.
Oh, that's before.
So you deleted them off your thing? You didn't archive them?
No, yeah, I removed them completely from my Instagram.
You got to archive.
I don't know how to do that. You can just like hide them
People are
from
always
it?
asking me, Mike,
Yeah.
how do you guys
So then,
recruit
like, it
people?
doesn't-
So
get
August
deleted?
2nd, 2024. That's when because I remember the outfit I was wearing during that time. I remember the most random shit.
Bro, sometimes I do too. Like it's like little.
How do I
moments.
see where did I archive them or delete them? See, I'm not a social media person. I have to become one though. I don't want to, but I have to.
Got to.
But I don't want to.
Especially in this world, bro. People want to build trust with the people they're working with, or they're spending money on. That's what we were just in Missouri for. So, the one that I actually told you about that quote, he does marketing for auto shops.
Yeah.
I deleted it.
So
Just go to your photos from.
That's what I was doing right now.
So, but we went out there to basically like record 3 days worth of everything, like all the work that auto shop does, from interviews with the staff, the
interviews.
promotions that we do. But yeah, we did all that because like for him, like that's just working like really, like it's working really well, is getting to know all the techs, especially because in like mechanic shops, a lot of people already think like these people are trying to screw them over for money or make them pay for parts that they don't need.
That's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. So like for him, it's working really well, and of course that's just how social media now is going, where they just want to know the people that they're spending money on, that they're paying.
Okay, here they are. This one?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go. Let's watch it over.
Send it to me on WhatsApp and I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
On WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Sending. Oh.
Did you guys both get here at the same time?
Same day.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's downloading real quick.
We'll watch another one real quick.
Yeah, pull up one of yours.
So this one, I had a lot of people talking shit, but on this one, they're like, it's a horrible opener. But
Well, let's see.
it was this one right here.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Really quick, my name is Michael. I'll be super fast because I know you're probably busy and you're not interested and you don't want to buy anything right now. Okay, yeah, we're doing solar, so I'll put that in the notes. One thing
So the reason why I said that though is because this dude looked like he wanted to freaking cry as soon as he opened up the door. Like he just was like
The baby face?
just so defeated, you know, like oh my gosh, it's another one. And this is, you know, I knew he was getting blown up. You know, this neighborhood we had been hitting it pretty hard, and we got a bunch of deals in that neighborhood. So I probably had knocked on his door like 4 or 5 times, but he didn't answer, so I didn't know he was a renter. But anyways, yeah. So that's why I said that, you know.
I
What
can
would
do
you
for
change
you
about
though,
that
Drew.
intro now? Is there something you?
Well, I mean, he's a renter. But maybe I would have just like kind of, you know, not said all those things. I don't know. I don't feel like I did the wrong thing, you know. But people didn't understand the context of why I said it. You know?
Yeah, true. Because
So-
they didn't see the person.
Bro,
Yeah.
remember this day? Isaac couldn't even stand out in the sun for
I'm
like
gonna try
30
to do something
minutes.
real quick, and then
I was
I'll
like,
get out.
oh!
You're on one of these 3 plans right here?
Yep.
Do you know which one for your electricity?
No clue.
The best plan to be on if you're a renter is the basic plan. And the reason why is because on these other plans, your rates go from 7 cents in the winter to 35 cents in the summer. For this plan, you go from 8 cents in the winter to 13 cents in the summer. So it's saving some money. But anyways, we do solar. I would say go solar, but obviously you can't. So. All right, brother.
Yeah. So I mean, things do differently. I wouldn't do anything differently. I showed him love, and you know, even though he couldn't buy anything off of me, I gave him some value, which is getting a lower rate.
Yeah. Still giving some free game.
Free game.
Which was the one that got the most views?
This one on my TikTok.
Want to know how I get one appointment at least every single day? As a solar rep that's new in the doors,
That's a
you want to
fire
get
hook,
out
bro.
at least 10 perfect pitches. So a lot of times people come out here and they're like, oh, I'm going to hit 100 doors, 150 doors. And sometimes when you get to like door 80, then you're kind of just going through the motions and you're just knocking on these doors, trying to fill out your rep card and making sure that you actually hit the 100. But in reality, it's quality over quantity. We don't get paid to knock on doors. We get paid to talk to people. My main thing is every time I'm in the field, I'm looking to get 10 pitches out perfectly. If I can get through my whole presentation and what I have to say and I do a great job, I know I'm on at least get one appointment before I leave.
So if you look at my TikTok right there, that one got like 49,000 views, and then the one that people were talking shit on, that one got like 17,000. You know.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. So.
Definitely those hooks for sure.
Yeah. And so would I do anything differently about this video besides being out of shape? 'Cause I can see my belly right there. I mean, I think that was a really good video, and it gives a lot of clarity, because a lot of times people, they get so focused on like, oh, I need to sell, make a sale today, I need to do this. And we have no control over that stuff. We have no control if a customer decides to book an appointment. Yeah, we could say things that are going to maybe like sway their decision a little bit, but in the end, it's up to them. All we can do is control the controllables, which is how many doors that we knock, how many opportunities that we give ourselves, and how long we stay out in the field.
You got one of yours ready?
Yeah, I sent them to you right now.
Yeah, let's watch through and review a couple more, and then we'll go into you guys just
Quick tip
kinda
that I would
talking,
have for a lot of
conversating
new
about your
reps that are
story.
coming into door to door is
Damn, you're right. How much you weighing it right there? Do you remember?
quick
I
tip
don't
that
know.
I would have for a lot of new
199.9.
reps that are coming into door to door is finding a great mentor. So whatever company that you're going to be working for, you have to find the top guy in that company, and you need to glue yourself to their hip. So for me, example, the reason why I've been able to be successful in selling solar out here in Arizona is I'm in close proximity with my brother Michael, who's a top rep in the industry, and also our mentor Luke Ward, who's the #1 solar sales rep in the United States. So just being in close proximity with them, knowing that I don't have to reinvent the wheel, but I just got to do what they do and say what they say, and I'll get what I want. That's something that I would strongly advise any new rep in any industry, is to find a great mentor and glue yourself to them.
What do you think? What date was this again?
It was in 2024.
That was like
August 2nd.
August. So what is 2026 May, Jacob? Or we're in April, so April
I mean,
2026,
just
Jacob.
looking back, just like hearing my tone of voice, I just like had like very low confidence in myself. I'm not certain on what I'm saying. Like I was saying that, but I didn't truly believe what I was saying at that point. Maybe I was just like, faking it till I make it, right? And I was being successful in solar, but I mean, like throwing down deals and helping people out, right? But like, I know I wasn't taking really good care of myself. I mean, I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't partying, but I just wasn't like dialed in on my fitness. I was like working out, but it was like a casual workout.
It was exercising.
Yeah, I was exercising. I wasn't like training like an athlete,
Yeah.
right? And so, I mean, I was still like developing and growing and like pouring into myself, like and investing into myself. But yeah, I would just say the 2026 version of myself, I just literally killed that guy and I murdered him, and he'll never to be found again. And then just like, I guess the confidence and the belief that I have now and who I am and what I'm accomplishing and what I'm doing and the way in the position that I'm in, like the products that we offer, the services that we offer, the training that we offer, just the people that we help more, is just way more fulfilling than it was just being on the door selling panels and and trying to help people save money on a bill that they can never cancel. We were genuinely helping them out, but what we do is way more fulfilling. I'm way more passionate about it, and I know like I prayed for this opportunity that I have today, and it wasn't easy to get, so I'm not going to take it for granted.
Sure. That's why it's good looking back at this stuff. You have another one?
Yeah, there's another one
let's
too.
look back at the other one.
Yeah, I hate that guy though.
Well, I think what he was saying though was good about finding a mentor and gluing yourself. I think just the way that he was speaking, he's talking about his tonality and stuff like that and his confidence. But that was still really good advice that you gave yourself. Find someone like me. I'm just playing now. Find someone, you know, that's like already doing it. Because I said this in the beginning, like the way that I was successful in like the car business and in solar is I would sit there and I would sit on every single appointment. I would go through the whole entire process with them. I would go on the test drive with them, even if I turned my customer. But I would just be like a fly on the wall. I wouldn't sit there and talk too much. I would do a little bit of rapport building, but I wasn't like sitting there trying to like, when he's presenting numbers, I'm not like saying stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let him do his thing,
Yeah.
and then just follow his process until I can make it my own.
Yeah, like I believed what I was saying, but I didn't like believe it. Like I know
Yeah,
it was
you
good
weren't-
stuff that I was saying, but it was just like how I was saying it. Like
Yeah.
those words didn't have teeth. They weren't like grabbing you. Like there was no conviction behind it. It was like just like saying it because it was like the right thing to say.
Yeah,
And it is a
heard
true
from
thing that I was
everybody
saying.
else type of thing, but
Yeah.
but now like you've implemented all that basically. Let's see this one.
So here's a quick tip on how to lose 25 pounds and recreate yourself.
Quick tip that I would have for a lot of new reps that are coming into door to door is finding a great mentor. So whatever company that you're going to be
That's the
working
same one
for,
we
you
just
have to
watched.
find the top guy in
Oh, it's
that
the same one.
company, and you need to glue yourself to
Oh.
their hip. So for me, example,
It
the
is?
reason why I've been able to be
I didn't like it that much.
successful
Start playing
in
again?
selling solar out here in our-
It's all good. Yeah, let's see.
No, yeah, TikTok is definitely the one where a lot of people will say their opinions.
Another
as-
quick
as
little
we've
golden
seen.
nugget that I can give to any door-to-door rep is when you come and pull up into the field, make sure that you have your phone fully charged, your iPad fully charged,
Oh my
lunch
gosh.
bag full of all your snacks, Gatorades, frozen water bottles, and before you get out onto the doors, what's something that's been very beneficial for me is to say a quick prayer so that you have a clean heart and pure intentions before you go out and serve these homeowners. And if you have clean heart and pure intentions, they're going to feel that energy from you. They'll be able to receive your message.
I mean, this one is like more me. This is like 100% facts. When you show up to the field, you do need to be prepared. Either you're planning to, you know,
Failure to prepare is preparing to fail.
there you go. He got me. You knew what I was getting at. But what happens is like you show up into the turf with a group of guys, right? And then next thing you know, someone has to go pee. Everybody goes to the car. They want to go get an energy drink. So it takes 10 minutes to go to the gas station. Then it's like 10, 15 minutes there at the gas station. Then it's 10 minutes to back to turf. And then like you already wasted a whole hour. You lost all your momentum during that time. And when you just got to be prepared. Like you don't need to go out. And then after that, you're like, oh, I'm hungry. Then we'll go take a lunch in 30 minutes. And like, it just kills your momentum. Like show up to work, go to your car, get your water, eat your food, get back to the turf, go knock the doors. And then obviously like before you kick off the day, just saying a prayer and setting the tone, set the pace, set your intentions, you know, like you can't control the outcomes, but you can control the inputs. And like, if God will bless you tenfold if you take care of his people, right? And you hope enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. But I just believe that, like, you know, there's been many times I've like prayed before going out onto the doors, and like you just never know what that conversation leads to, who God will put you in front of, like what they're going through behind closed doors, because you're knocking on random people's doors, and you're like the worst thing. They could be having the worst day of their life, or they could be having the best day of their life. You don't know, and you're knocking on their door, and so I would just like say, God, just like use me. I already know, like, you only know what the outcome is of this. Just let me be the vessel. And if you put me in the right place at the right time with the right person, I'm just going to do my absolute best to serve them at the highest level. And whatever the outcome may be, it's because it was your will, not my will. And that just really helped me out and grounded me. And I've built really, really great relationships. I mean, I sold solar to a gentleman, and he ended up selling me his house. So
What was the interest rate that he sold you the house on?
it was 0%.
You bought a house for 0% interest. That's the only person I've ever met in my life.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That guy owned it outright? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, he owned it outright, but it was all relationships. I mean, and then like obviously I started learning about, you know, seller financing subject to different types of strategies and how to acquire assets. And so I put together a plan with him. And but yeah, like he ended up selling me his house. First he rented me out the house for like below market value, but it's just because I built really, really great relationships. And that's just one example, but you know, there's so many more.
Jacob went to this guy's house. He had quadruple bypass, like heart surgery or something like that, some crazy surgery, and he like took care of his cat, took care of his plants and stuff like that while the guy was in the hospital. And this guy had a lot of assets in there. And if Jacob was the old person, maybe, you know, the situation might have been a little bit
Some stuff
different.
probably would have went missing.
Yeah, but Jacob, you know, he took care of him, and the house that he lives in was his mother's house, and so she passed away. And you know, I love my brother so much that even though he owns that house, he still has a picture of the lady that owned the house originally. It was like on the refrigerator, and they never took it down. So
Yeah, it's Beverly's house.
yeah, it's Bev, Big Bev, you know.
Yeah, she's the original owner. So
No, that is sick. That's a crazy story right
He
there.
sold him solar on his house and then his rental property, which is the house that he bought.
Mhm.
So now Jacob has solar on his house.
now I have to pay the bill.
But
But I'm saving money though.
Yeah.
But still, it's different when you're like you're selling solar and then like all of a sudden then you have the solar system and you still got to pay the solar bill. You know, I mean it's cheaper than what I would have been paying to the utility company, but I'm like, dang,
like it all does come around.
I still see it come out of my account every single month now.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang.
Funny.
So the cool thing about this, it's not a new bill. You're gonna have to pay for electricity anyways. This is just a cheaper option. So let me just let you know this, and then I'll get out of here. You're obviously a smart man. Why did you decide to buy a home rather than rent a home, financially speaking?
I had this house for 26 years.
People do solar for the same reason.
Okay, so the first thing I would have done differently right there, he gave me an answer that didn't even make sense. I said, "Why did you decide to buy a home rather than rent a home?" He said, "I've had this house for 26 years." But I should have been like, "No, but why did you buy the home rather than rent a home?" And he would have been like, "Oh, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to rent, throw away my money."
Yeah.
So I knew what to say, but I didn't. I was, you know, maybe a little bit nervous because you were recording me or something like that.
Mhm.
But I didn't address it. I didn't get what I was looking and I didn't get what I was looking for. So I wanted him to. I was basically asking him a question I already knew the answer to,
Mhm.
but he didn't give me the answer that I wanted, and I still moved forward.
Reason why people own a home is because they don't want to throw away their money. So either
So like I told him, like, people don't want to throw their money away, but if he would have said that himself, he would have came to the agreement himself, not me tell him. Because people are gonna believe it when they come to the agreement, not when you say it. Because when you say it, it's not true. When they say it, then it's true.
the way you're gonna pay. So instead of you donating
I mean, it could be true, but you know, people perceive it that way when you're in door to door.
When they
that
said
money,
You're making them come to the resolution
now you
themselves.
just put it into your own home. But long story short, you're on one of these three plans right here. Do you happen to know which one? Because in the wintertime, the bills would be relatively cheaper because the cost for electricity is so cheap. It's only like 7 cents. But in the summertime, you see how the rate jumps up because it's hotter, people are using more power. What SRP is doing right now is if your roof gets enough sun exposure, like on the south side over there or on the west side over here, during the peak times, they'll allow us to just put a little bit of solar on your roof, not this big old $40,000 system like what you looked at. And then they put you on this new plan where they bring your rates down to 4 cents in the wintertime and 6.5 cents in the summer. So the cool thing about this, it's not a
So I think that was really good, the way that I served it up, and I was asking, but I just think that if I would have did that and made him come to the agreement, because I know I didn't sell this guy solar. We set an appointment with him, and I don't think he ended up showing up. But it's still good. I thought it was a pretty good set, but you know, could have always been better, right?
True.
So.
That's why you look back at them to see how to fix it
Yeah,
or how to do better for the next one.
yeah. So all right, cool. We'll close that.
Yeah, let's talk about like the first time you guys ever got into sales, like a little bit more about your guys' story.
I'll let Jacob start.
I mean, the first time I got into sales was in 2017, like right after I graduated high school. I started selling mattresses. Mikey actually got me my first job.
Yeah.
And yeah, I started selling mattresses right out of high school. I knew I didn't want to go to college.
Why didn't you want to go to college?
I don't know. I just never really wanted to go to college. Like, I just knew that I wanted to get into business. I wanted to do sales. I knew that like I didn't like. I just knew I wanted to do business and sales. Like I knew I wanted to like. At first, I thought I was going to do network marketing, become this multimillionaire. You know what I mean? Selling these juice boxes and stuff like that. But fortunately, that didn't work. You know?
Travel packages.
Yeah,
Right.
travel packages. But
So you were 18 when
Yeah,
you started?
I was
right out of high school?
yeah, I was 18. got into sales, started selling mattresses, and did good selling mattresses, but you could only make so much money during selling mattresses. But ended up putting myself in a situation where I got fired from that job. I worked there for like 10 months, and then after that, I started selling cars. I went and sold cars with my dad, and then I killed it from like 2018 all the way till about like 2021. I sold cars at a used car dealership in my hometown, and I was selling 35 cars, 40 cars a month at that dealership, and I was the number one guy, but I was just making a lot of poor life choices. I was still drinking, partying, smoking, just being wild, being reckless. But something shifted. Actually, what made me stop selling cars at that point in time was I seen how the owners treated my father at the time, and I just seen a disconnect of like how my dad operated in that dealership and like how he was a slave to the dealership, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. And so I was just like, I want to get into real estate, and so I was like, I'm gonna go learn how to sell real estate. So I bought like a real estate course. I never did the course. I never did the course, but then I was like, I want to learn how to do multifamily investing. So then I was like, well, why don't I go be a property manager? And so I was like, I was managing like 56 units at like at an apartment complex, and I was like, it was going really good, and I was growing, and I was learning a lot. But then something hit me, because my friend Chris, he's like my best friend. Not even my best friend, he's my brother. Like, he's certified. He called me. He's like, hey, I just got hired at this dealership, and I made $4,000, and I sold 4 cars. He's like, bro, you couldn't even sell 4 cars when you sold cars with me. I was like, how the hell did you make $4,000? And I was like, and that wasn't a lot of money, but it was the fact that you made like $1,000 per car is what I was thinking at. Yeah. And I was selling, and I was being a property manager, and I was making like $2,000 a month, but I had a sick apartment like by the beach.
Yeah, it was nice.
But I was like, I'm just a low income tenant, just like all these other people here. I was like, I'm broke, and I have a nice place, but I'm broke. So I went from, it was humbling experience from selling cars and doing, better than average financially for yourself, and then to doing that. And so then I was like, well, that pissed me off. So then I was like, I'm gonna go get hired at the same dealership. And then, so then I went and got a job there. That was a process, grew, started selling cars there, did really well selling cars there. And
what years were those?
That was from I got hired at that other, it was a Toyota dealership from 2022 all the way until December of 2022. I got hired in like January, February. So I was there for like 11 months. Got fired from that dealership because I started making a lot of money, and I was making a lot of poor life choices. My patterns never stopped.
You feel like you just never had like a mentor? Why do you think like you just kept falling?
I was just living in the flesh, man. I was just feeding my flesh, and just I'd make money, and I would like want to go party, drink, smoke, and just live in the world, and just not connected to God. And I said I love Jesus, but like I knew who Jesus was because I grew up my whole life in a private school. But I was just like, I was just chasing everything other than like him. Yeah. And that's what it was. I was just like, I was seeking for something, but I didn't know what it was, and he was the missing piece the whole entire time. So got fired from that job, but honestly that was the best thing that ever happened to me, was me getting fired from that job. Because when I got fired from that job, like I had this pattern going on all the way since high school, and what happened was, like, there comes a pivotal time in a man's life where like something has to happen in order for him to make a change. And it was like I got like this embarrassed feeling. Like I got embarrassed, and I had like this, like, it wasn't shame or guilt, maybe that kind of was, but it was an embarrassment. Like I got embarrassed that I got fired from this opportunity. And I knew it was a really good opportunity, and it's a great organization, and I love them because
they're giving them so many chances too.
Yeah, and they'd give me a billion chances. Like I burned every opportunity I get. So like at this point, it's like, Jacob, you're the problem. Like chance after chance after chance, right? As a boy cry wolf, my dad would always tell me I would be.
That's the old him.
But that was the old me, and so I got embarrassed though, and then I was like, I knew I needed to make a change. So then I came out here to Scottsdale, moved out here, got close to Michael, and then I did this challenge called 75 Hard on January 1st of 2023. I got fired December 2022. I I did this challenge called 75 Hard in January 1st of 2023, and I've never done went 75 days without alcohol or like drinking or, you know, partying or doing any type of drugs, right? So I did this challenge, and I told myself my reward after this challenge was I was going to be able to just have a scotch and a cigar and like enjoy myself. But I did this challenge and I followed through with it and I completed it. And after I did this challenge, I didn't feel like drinking anymore. And I was like, maybe like one day when I have like, you know, like a few $100,000 in my account and I'm on the beach in Hawaii and I'm shredded with a 6-pack and I'm in like, you know, or Mexico or something like that, I'll have like a Corona and lime, like that'd be cool. But during that time of that challenge, I started like just going through like these, I started just having like encounters, and I was praying and I was just focusing on my relationship with the Lord and just growing with him. And he literally like cleaned me from the inside out, and I had like my first supernatural encounter with God, and it was like self-delivered in my apartment by myself. And it was just me, Papa G, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And yeah, from there, I mean, like fast forward over, it's been like 3.5 years now. I haven't drank, I don't smoke, I don't party, just like I'm in the best physical shape of my life. But what got me into sales is my dad was in sales. So sorry, that was like my life story now. But what got me into sales is my dad's always been in sales. I always looked up to my dad. My dad's my hero. That's who I wanted to be like my whole entire life. So I knew I wanted to get in sales. I knew I can go produce a really high income, and I didn't need to go the traditional route to school to be able to produce a high income. There's an entrepreneur, then there's the entrepreneurs, right? So that's why I wanted to get into sales. I always knew I was going to do sales. Most kids, when they grow up, they want to be firefighters, policemen. They wanted to be doctors. I used to want to be a plastic surgeon so I could play with boobs, I would say. But and that was a true thing. I did want to. But my dad would show up to the car from work, and I would be dressed in his like shirt and tie, and I'd have his work shoes on, and they were like this big, you know, and my feet were like this big. And I just thought being a car salesman was the coolest thing. Like I thought my dad was like, my dad's a badass, and like, but I just thought what he was doing was like the coolest thing in the world. Because you look at your dad as like superhero, right? Mm-hmm. And most kids do, you know. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to be in sales, and I thought, you know, we were gonna own a car dealership one day, and we were gonna, you know, take over the world, and that's what we were gonna do.
We're gonna name it Mafia Motors.
Yeah, we're gonna name it Mafia Motors.
Buy or die.
Yeah. We were like in 3rd grade, and we were like, you're gonna buy or die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 3rd grade?
Yeah.
It's like our whole entire life, you know.
My dad would take us to car lots, like empty pot lots, and be like, I'm gonna buy this lot one day. Like, I'm gonna buy this lot one day. And, you know, things happen, and unfortunately that didn't go as planned, but you know what? Like, I'm grateful for it. And he taught us how to visualize and like how to go like call your shot. And one thing I honor and respect about my dad is like, the reason why I love sales is I've seen my dad come back from major adversities and like lose everything, but he said, give me my shirt and ties and let me go hit that car lot and I'll go make a quick 20 piece.
I remember my dad was in jail, and while he was in prison, the owners of dealerships and managers would be writing him letters like, hey, as soon as you get out, like, you know, we got an opportunity for you here. Like, my dad would get out of jail, right? Because there was a period of stint where like 5 years where he was like constantly in and out. And this was like in his like mid-30s. So it's like probably around my age right now. I can't imagine going to jail. I mean, I went to jail at the end of when I was like 28. On my 28th birthday, I had to go to jail, bro. That shit sucked. But anyways, my 29th birthday. But anyways, like, I remember him going in and out of jail during that time. I kind of lost my train of thought.
Oh, you were just talking about like how like he was getting letters sent to him.
Oh yeah, he was getting letters. He would literally get out of prison and then like the next day he would have work.
Yeah,
you know. Or people were like, oh, I gotta get on my feet. I just got out of prison. You know what I mean?
I never understood.
Yeah,
I never understood that, how it takes somebody a year to get back on their feet. I'm like, dude, my dad would start working the next day he got out of prison. He'd be like,
I was off for a year.
Yeah, you were off for a whole year. You should have had a plan put in place.
Yeah,
you know, some moves being made. Like, you got access to a phone in there. You can make some plays. But.
Yeah, so I obviously don't condone. I'm not saying that was the right way, but you know, one thing I respect about my dad is, and I've seen him, he's gone through so many periods in his life where he thought his life was over in a moment, and, you know, life goes on. You know, Nipsey Hussle says it, you know, life is like a marathon, or it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, and it's like easy to like get caught up in the day-to-day, the week-to-week, the month-to-month, and it's like, hey, it's a bad day, or it's a bad week, but it's not a bad life, you know? So, especially with like what I went through in like, you know, December of 2020 of this last year, you know, my daughter passing away on Christmas Eve, bro, that was like the hardest thing that I've ever gone through. And like my revenue, my performance has like tanked, right? Like I was not in the right headspace, and I was trying to like, you know, pour into people, and I needed to be poured into at that time, you know? So, yeah, so it's like, even though you may go through a season of your life, you know, my dad always told me my life is like a book. You know, there's different chapters in your life, and not every chapter is going to be perfect. And so I just kind of getting through that chapter. It's not something you're going to get over. It's just something you kind of get through.
Yeah.
You know, adversity.
What were you doing? Like, did you know the stuff that Jacob was going through too? Because you were in Arizona and Jacob was in California.
Everyone knew what I was going through.
Yeah, I knew exactly what I was going through because I had gone through it, you know, and I was still kind of going through it, but I wasn't as crazy as Jay-Z.
What were you thinking in that time? Like,
I was just scared he was gonna die in OD, you know, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be freaking out, and like I'd be panicking. I remember I was living with this girl. Her name, say her name. Anyways, yeah. But anyways, I was staying with this girl, and I remember I would just wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd be like, dude, like I'm just worried about Jacob. I'm worried about my brother. And then I even remember I like went to my daughter's mom's house one time, and I was like storming, and it was like pouring rain. And I'm in Arizona. He's in California at the time, in our hometown. And I was like, dude, I just feel like something's wrong with Jacob. And then I found out that night while I was freaking out, he rolled his car.
no way.
Yeah, he rolled his car. How many times did you roll it? Like 2 times? Something like that? I don't know.
No,
Oh.
it just it only rolled. It side rolled.
Okay.
I crashed the car, and then it flipped over on its side and it stood there like that.
Well, whatever, dude. He tipped his car. Yeah.
Tipped my car over.
Yeah, but anyways, like I knew something was wrong in my brother's intuition, like, and I have been trying to get him out here for years. And one of the things he told me, he's like, Michael, I don't want to fucking knock doors in the desert. Excuse my language, like we're not supposed to be cussing here. But he's like, I don't want to knock doors in the desert. And then like that was it. I was like, all right, because I was trying to get.
I was making really good money.
Yeah.
I was complacent. I was
Yeah.
like, why would I want to go knock doors in the desert? I'm making $30,000 a month right now.
Yeah,
Like,
he
I
had
thought
sent
that-
me his first $30,000 paycheck, and then like I was like, okay, bet. And then like 2 weeks later, I sent him like a $40,000 or $50,000 paycheck.
He sent me like a $60,000.
$60. Yeah.
And then that's when you were like,
Well,
all
he
right.
he still didn't want to come though, because he was just like, I'm doing good, you know, like.
Yeah.
And then he ended up getting fired, and the next thing I know, he's like, I'm on my way to Arizona. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you're not coming. I was like, I didn't believe him.
I told him, I called him, I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, nothing, just about to go out to turf. I was like, all right, well, I'll see you in a couple hours. He's like, what? I was like, already past Palm Springs. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't tell nobody nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
you're just gone.
I just packed up my 4Runner and I came out here. I literally had to play moves. Like I got, well, first they suspended me before they fired me, but I already knew they were going to fire me. So I already plotted. I already had my 4Runner packed up. I took all my stuff over to Arizona and I dropped it off over here. And then I flew back home and then waited.
Went on a bender, actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did that, but
Yeah.
but I waited.
I was like, calling, like, where you at?
and then like they gave me the green light that they were gonna fire me, and I was like, all right, you know, like it sucked.
Yeah.
It really did suck, but it was the greatest thing that happened to me.
I've been fired a couple times, man, and this shit sucks. But I've literally been fired from almost every single job that I ever had until I got into like door-to-door sales and like entrepreneurship, you know. And you know, I knew that I didn't, and it was just my poor choices. I would like show up late, you know, be doing drugs and out and partying, and you get caught up in that like rat race where you're chasing money and you're not chasing the man. And I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So when Andy started speaking that language, like, hey, you got to chase the man, not the money, I was just like, what does that mean, you know? And I remember one of my best friends at the time, his dad, he would tell us like, hey, you know, like, don't worry about chasing women, like, you know, worry about chasing yourself and building yourself up. And he goes like, you know, your life is like a garden, right? You got to build a beautiful garden and the butterflies will flow to you. You know what I mean? If you're out there chasing butterflies, they're going to come away. But if you build a beautiful garden, they'll come to you. Alfredo's dad. So his name's Alfredo as well.
Yeah.
And he had been putting game into my life, my whole entire life. And he used to be a dick to me and Alfredo. Because like we were like freaking
Bad boys.
Yeah, we were definitely deserved to be a dick to, you know. But anyways, but he would pour game into us, you know. My dad and him were good friends. But the way that I got my start and the way that I got into sales is I was 19 years old. I had just graduated from high school, and I found out about this company called Vima, and I was like sold. I had a guy named Matt Giddings, which was a good friend at the time. Still got a lot of love for him, but anyways, he invited me and he told me, hey man, like, what are you doing? Come over and bring your credit card. And I was like, what do I need my credit card for? Like, you know, how much do I need? He's like, just bring your credit card. Just trust me. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, I was trying to like, get it out of him. He wouldn't let me know. And anyways, I came in and then I didn't know I was going to be sitting in a presentation, and I sat through a presentation and I was just like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Let's do it. But I didn't have the money to do it. So he actually paid for me to get started, and I didn't have the money to pay him back for like almost 2 years, but I did pay him back. It felt good because I never wanted to owe someone money. But I got into this thing called network marketing, and I thought I was going to be a millionaire by the time I was 21. Like, I was like dead set on it. I was like, this is it. But the only thing I was worried about doing was making money, so that way I could have a nice car, and that way I can get girls, and that way I can, so I never prospered, right? I learned a lot of things. I would personal development like a beast. I would listen to audios and read books
To make more money.
But I would take no action. I was trying, but I was just like dealt with so much rejection because all the people that hired me and recruited me, as soon as they recruited me, they all quit.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was like, it was me, and then I recruited my best friend Fredo. So it was just me and Fredo trying to go, and like we had mentors, but they lived in another city, and so like we were trying to get them on events and stuff like that. We did a really good job of inviting people and getting like, I remember I'd have like 25, 30 people in a room and we'd present, but we wouldn't close one deal, and we didn't know how to present.
We're selling one
it.
of many before we knew.
Yeah, and then like you had to have products and stuff, and we'd like give out all the products. And then like we would get the product, and like 3 days later, a week later, we would be out. So then we had no product for like 3 more weeks. You know what I mean? Until like the shipment, and the shipment was like $500 a month. And this was in like in 2014, 2015. So I wasn't really making that good of money at that time. So I got into not door to door sales. I got into network marketing. Then from network marketing, I went to an event in Las Vegas, and then I met this guy named Addison Ammo. Addison Ammo, old dude. And he was just straight shitting on on Vima. And it was just like, hey, that company's not going to do anything, blah, 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 blah. And I was like in this hotel room with him and this other guy named Travis that I had met at the time. And he brought me to his mentor's room, right? And then he was just shitting on the company. And I was like, bro, I don't want to be around this guy. And then he had mentioned about door-to-door sales to me. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of piqued my interest because, I was like, hey, I could do both, right? I could knock doors and then do this. And so I got into door-to-door sales. I started selling alarms, and I did that for like 2 months. I went out on a blitz. I didn't even know that I was going on a blitz, but I went on a blitz. We get to this guy's house, and he was telling me he had this really nice house for us to stay and stuff. We get there, and this place is cockroach infested. Disgusting. I took one of my guys, his name is Jason Pastrano, out there, and he came out there with me because he believed in me. And I remember we went out there, and like we were like, the house was gross. And anyways, but we were there. We took a Greyhound bus or the freaking Amway to get there or something like that. But we got there, so there was no getting back. We were living in the Central Coast, and we went all the way up to Modesto. And I was out there, and I remember our first day on the doors, the guy's like, hey, listen, you're not going to get any sales your first day, so like don't get discouraged. And like, it's okay. And I remember I was like, in my head, I was like, you might have not got any sales your first day, but I'm going to get me a sale my first day. And so that first day I went out knocking, like I had help because I didn't know how to fill out a credit application. I had never done anything like that. But I got into door-to-door sales for like 2 months, and then I went back home and then I started selling projects. But then the guy that came to do the installs for the alarm, he kept flaking on my deals. So then I just quit. And then I tried to get into the car business. It didn't work out at the time. So I kind of had like some little dead-end jobs. And then I ended up getting back into the car business. And then I sold cars from 2015 to like 2020. So for like 5 years. And then, in 2020 is like when my life had just basically, I don't want to say gone to shit, but basically gone to shit. I was so far gone. I was, doing things that I should never do. I would do, enough drugs to kill a horse. And literally I'd be up all night, partying all night and stuff like that, and just chasing women and just being lustful and just, having that rotation and stuff like that. And just, I was just empty. Right. And then I met this girl. I started dating this girl, and then she was toxic. I was toxic, and then I just ended up, getting in trouble with her. Ended up getting into domestic violence because she was going through my phone, and then seen some shit. Then I seen some shit on her phone, and it was all bad,
Yeah.
And so anyways, I put myself in a really, really bad spot, and I don't ever condone on hitting women or nothing like that, but I really made a poor choice at that time. And then I went to jail. Went to jail for a minute because I ran from the cops and stuff like that, and it made it way worse. If I would have just like right there, it would have been he said, she said, but I took off running because I was just always running from my problems and running from pain and always just trying to like dilute it basically with like substances. And, I went back home to California because I was on the run. And so my mom came and picked me up, and my mom used to be a massive enabler for me. She would like, she always wanted the best for me, but she would like, you know, help me out in the situation where, you know, sometimes you'd be like, you just take your ass to jail and figure that shit out. But
That's what my
anyways,
dad said.
huh?
That's what my dad said.
Yeah, that's what my dad said. So, anyways, he took me back to California. I ended up staying there for like 2-3 months, and then the U.S. Marshals came and got me. And so the U.S. Marshals came and got
They
me.
scooped him up.
Yeah, dude. And when I'm talking about like some crazy shit like Al Chapo, like they acted like I murdered someone. So it was like crazy.
Damn, they like actually
Dogs,
researched
guns.
you, saw where you're staying.
Yeah, they came and got me. They pinned me. They like hit my car 4 times. They pinned me in, totaled my Beamer at the time, and like literally like pulled me out. And then I got taken to the jail for like 29 days. And then on the
He had like an army of rifles lined up at him. It was insane.
Yeah,
You were there?
Yeah. I was asleep. I thought they were coming to get me. I heard boom, boom, get on the floor. I was like,
Yeah.
I hopped up, I jumped outside, I looked over the fence, and was like, oh God, they're here.
Yeah, they're like freaking dogs, you name it. I was like looking, still scanning. My mom was like, don't move. She was screaming because she was in the car with me, and I was ready to run again. I got away from the SWAT team. I got away from the Avondale police, the Surprise Police Department. And then they had to send in the big dogs to get me, the U.S. Marshals. So anyways, yeah, man, a really, really bad time in my life. And yeah, I went to jail for a little bit. Then I got extradited from Santa Barbara County to all the way to back to Arizona. And I had to pay for the consequences, you know. And I was considered a flight risk, so I had to stay in jail. Like I was in jail for like 30 days, and then they wouldn't let me out because like I was a flight risk. So then I was like another like 2 or 3 weeks that went by, and then I finally got out on not my own recognizance, but I guess it is my own recognizance. But anyways, they put an ankle monitor on me. So I had an ankle monitor for a whole entire year. So during this time, I couldn't sell cars anymore.
Yeah.
That's so many cases that I was fighting at one time. They're like, hey, you need to figure out something else. We can't hire you at the dealership. You can't be like. And then I went to a used car lot and they hired me on the spot, and I was good and I was killing it there. But like these guys were just, you know, it was that country club, no motivation there. Everyone was fat and out of shape. You know, I didn't look up to anyone there. And then one of my buddies, his name's Jared. I used to be a closer for him at a Nissan dealership out of here, and he's like, bro, I made 10 grand my first month. And I was like, okay, like you weren't that good at selling cars. Like he got a lot better as I was training him. But I was like, if he can make 10 grand his first month, there's no way that I can't. And then I got back into door-to-door sales. And then it completely changed my life. And like once I found out that sales is personal development in disguise, that's when everything completely changed for me. So I got around really good men, you know, Tyler McAllister, some of these guys that they're Mormon, Jared Gillespie. They're really, really good guys at the time that I had met them and stuff. And I'm not saying they're bad now, but
At the time.
I met these guys and they had showed me a different life. You know, Luke Ward showed me a different life. These guys were like, you know, actually doing something, and they had crazy stories like I did. Not Tyler and Jared, but, you know, Luke Ward had a crazy story like mine. So anyways, I put my head down. I grinded for like 4 or 5 years in solar, made hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably close to like $1 million over like that 4-year period when I was selling solar. And, you know, my life completely changed. And then we started training with Andy, coming to events in 2022. That's when Jacob moved out here. You know, we got around the fire. You know, Danny Klein had reached out to us on Instagram, and then I seen that my brother bought an event ticket, and I was like, all right, let me get an event ticket. We came out to an event and just completely changed our life, our perspective, our ideas, the way that we started operating, the way that we started rolling. And, you know, we obviously still weren't perfect. I was still smoking weed. I was still, you know, using occasionally and stuff like that. And then, you know, then it came to a halt. Like I had to like fully surrender and give my life to God. And, you know, and then I got out of solar, and I was going to start working and doing deals with like Eric Klein and, doing virtual wholesale real estate. We locked up like 14 contracts our first month. Me and Jacob started doing it. We paid $10K for his training course. And then Danny had hit us up and recruited us to come work for the Elliott Group. So if not, we'd probably still be doing deals and, you know, or, you know, maybe doing solar with my younger brother, Jaden. But, you know, that's kind of the story, like a little bit chopped and screwed. But I was a drug addict from 2015 all the way until about 2022.
7 years.
Yeah, about 7 years, maybe even a little bit of 2023. But yeah, and yeah, I was a drug addict, and I couldn't stop using, and no one really knew. You know, I was really good at hiding it, you know, but my family knew. Jacob knew. Jacob would see me, and I'm like, oh, like, why y'all acting all weird?
We knew when each other was on drugs. 'Cause
Yeah.
It takes one to know one.
Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, being around this environment, being around these people that have high standards, that have had crazy testimonies, come back kids. You know, Andy never questioned us about our past. He just gave us an opportunity. So we're grateful to be here.
Nice. So what is it like right now? Is there anything like what would you say like scares you today? Like, is it like not growing more than you're at right now, or like not making the money that you want? What is it right now that just scares you guys the most? Or going back to the past, like going back to your habits?
Well, I put a bullet in that dude's head. And, you know, I don't ever want to go back, you know, but I definitely get cravings sometimes, you know. You know, I recently stopped smoking weed, and it's been tough for me, you know, because I've always been able to smoke weed and perform at a really high level. But here, you can't, like, what you do, and he doesn't care who we are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. because we're going to be good people at work, right? We're going to show up for our clients. We're going to do our thing. But who is Michael from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. the next day? That's who he cares about. And so if I go and I'm like, you know, telling these people that they got to do all these things and they got to stop, you know, having vices and things, but I secretly have vices myself, or if I'm like watching porn, or if I'm doing drugs, or which, you know, like I've fallen victim to, like, you know, my whole entire life, but I've changed these things. And, you know, now that I'm, you know, I'm just scared to go back to that, you know, scared to go back and then let my family down, or like lose the little family that I do have, you know, by having like wandering eyes or being lustful. You know, like I got my girl, she's absolutely gorgeous. You know, I got a daughter that's 6 years old. Her name's Janae. She's my world. And then I got a stepson named Yusuf. And, you know, I love that kid like he's my own son. You know, I'm not his dad. I don't try to be, like, pretend I'm his dad, you know, but I show him mad love like if I was his dad, you know.
What about you, Jacob?
Yeah, just never change back, right? I mean, it's not that I wasn't trying to run from my problems at the time. I was trying to run from the man who I became. And that man who had shame, guilt, no confidence, no belief in himself. All he wanted was the flesh, money, anything that made himself feel good, all this false dopamine that I was installing into my body. And so, like, never go back to that person, because I'm born to be, you know, a man that does hard things. Like, I'm a man of integrity. I'm a man of honor. I'm a man of accountability. Like, I'm fearless. Like, I know that I'm able to do whatever my mind sets. I set my mind to. So yeah, I just don't want to go back to that guy that was a loser, that like looked cool on the outside with, you know, a nice car, and I know how to make money, right? But ultimately, it wasn't like, not jacked, not disciplined. You can put on a facade to your friends, but real successful men like know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, and being back fat and out of shape, bro. I hated that life. I was an athlete.
Dude, I hate being out of shape, bro.
There's nothing worse than being in your life than being fat and out of shape. I'm sorry to say, it's like, because I was an athlete my whole entire life. I believed ever since I was a kid. I've had abs since I was like in kindergarten, all the way till I was like a high school, and then I started selling cars. The biggest thing in the automotive space is they stopped teaching you to develop yourself. They'll pay for organization, like training and stuff like that for you guys, but I'm talking about they're not really teaching you how to develop yourself. You know what I mean? They want to teach you how to develop to make more money, but they're not teaching you how to develop yourself. And that's where I didn't really have, it's not that I didn't really have, but I didn't prioritize that for myself. I didn't need somebody to tell me what to do, but I didn't see that somebody in front of me that I really looked up to developing themselves on that level that made me want to do that too. You know? So that's why when I met Andy and I first seen Andy, I was like, this is like my dad upstairs. Like, he looks like he reminded me of my dad a lot, but like just on another level, right? And so I was like,
and when he came back from the first event, he's like, this is like dad. I was like, fuck. There's two of them?
Yeah. And then Jackie reminded me of my mom, like just in another version that they hadn't tapped into yet, right?
Yeah.
And their story was very similar, because like it resonated with me, because they were car business, and like I grew up in the car business my whole entire life. So yeah, and that's why Andy says just never change back, and that's the biggest thing that scares me, would be becoming that person. And because I know if I backslide and went to that person, then you know, I would lose my little family. And you know, I have a beautiful wife and have a daughter that's about to be 1 year old, and I put my wife through a lot of pain and a lot of trauma and a lot of things, and that, you know, and she was a ride or die. She stood with me through the whole time, and even when she didn't, you know, like have the strength to stay with me or for me to get better, she had the faith that I would get better. And so I wouldn't put her through that.
So you guys would say being with Andy Elliott and part of the Elliott Group has been basically like the biggest life-changing thing out of everything you guys have been through, like all the companies you guys have worked with, the people you guys have met. This is like the biggest change, basically.
I would
the
say-
biggest life changer.
I would say surrendering your life to Christ would be the biggest pivotal change for me. And then getting around people, it was just a coincidence that shortly after I had a supernatural encounter, then I came to my first event like 20 days later and then started surrounding myself with people like this too as well. But God knew the plan the whole entire time.
Mhm.
So that was the pivotal moment.
Yeah, I think seeing the transformation of my brother and like the way that he started operating, the way that he started moving, it inspired me as well too. And I still fall short every single day. Like me and him are still not perfect, you know, but we're on a mission to try to be as close to perfect as possible, you know. And I couldn't agree more with what he said. You know, surrendering your life and just kind of throwing in the towel and just stop running the play. And you know, I remember listening. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there's this guy, and he was talking about there's this verse in the Bible where, you know, that I don't know if they're like at these lakes or that like they're by these body of waters, and this guy has been sick for a really, really long time, like his whole entire life, and God asked him like, "Do you want to be healed?" Right? And like, you know, it kind of stuck with me because I was just like, do I want to be healed? Because when you're healed, that means like you change, like you're going to change your habits, you're going to change your things. Like, do you really, really want to change? And I say I want to change, but then like a part of me really doesn't want to change. It doesn't want to give up those things that I was like been secretly holding on to that no one knows about, you know? And it's like, and it hurts because like I did for the longest time, like I didn't know like that, you know, I didn't know if it was shame or if it was guilt or like whatever it was, but like I knew I wanted to change, but I just didn't feel like I could change. And it wasn't until I started like, you know, fully surrendering and speaking with my tongue and letting people know things that I struggle with. That's why it's really, really important. You know, if you're dealing with like any, you know, porn addiction, or if you're dealing with like drug addiction or anything like that, let someone know, someone that you can trust and that you can confide in, you know. And there's tools and resources that you could use that will lock your phone, so that way, you know, if you don't have the strength to do it on your own, which you don't, you're gonna have to do it with God, but you're gonna have to get accountable with people and be like, hey, you know, here's the password to my phone, and you know, they could basically check and see what you're looking at.
I mean, yeah, we've done it all. I mean, we've cheated, we've stolen, porn, drugs, violence,
Everything else you could think of.
anything you could think of, you know, is you can think of someone struggles with, you know, suicidal thoughts, depression. Like I struggled with depression, anxiety. But the thing about it is I never believed it was real when I was doing hard things, and I challenged myself as a kid being an athlete until I stopped doing those things. And then all of a sudden my confidence went down and I started having this depression and anxiety and was looking for these false dopamines. So that's why the physical fitness is so important again.
Yeah, I remember going through like,
I didn't believe, I was like, how could you be depressed? Like, it's not even real. It's like, anxiety is not real. I never knew what that was, but it's like, you just freaking feel like you get these natural, obviously, like chemicals and dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, the stuff that Andy talks about, right? Like when you do hard things, but like, I didn't believe that as a kid. And
you didn't know what it was though.
I didn't know what it was either.
Yeah.
Until it smacked me. Bah!
Yeah, so and same for me. Once I started training like an athlete again and not exercising like a fucking old man, that's like when life changed for me as well too.
That's sick. So where can people find you guys, and like if they want this transformation, be also like at the level you guys are at, where can they go to?
Yeah, they can find me right on MySpace at Jacob Zepeda. No, just kidding. No, they can find us at Official Zepeda Brothers on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest. No, I'm just teasing.
All the accounts.
Find
Yeah.
him on Grindr. No, so you can reach us on our cell phone number 805-668-0081, or if you want to get a hold of Jacob, it's 805-863-6509. And I know his number by heart, and he doesn't know mine.
Well, he changed his number. I know his old number,
was like 5 years ago.
266-6802, right?
Yeah.
That's my Jersey Mike's point number. You know? Anytime you want a free sub, 266-6802, okay?
Right.
805.
If you want to give me some points too, that'd be great.
Yeah. Hey, there's been many times I was down and out, all right? And I went to Jersey Mike's with my last $15. And then next thing you know, they're like, you have a free sub. Would you like to take it today? I said, heck yes, I'd love to take this free sub today.
Scandal.
Yeah. And then I cash out my free sub because he had the
And keep
point.
his $15,
And keep my $15.
It's a win.